没有走完的路不会是终点，故事的走向是自己选择的坚持。
这个故事的开头还算不错，相信过程，相信自己走过的路。
那些最激动人心的冒险，从来不是单枪匹马的挑战。
과거는 잊으세요. 내일이 새로운 시작입니다. 내 경기가 새로운 도전입니다.
我们愿意为胜利付出许多代价，改变只是其中之一。
어떤 사람이든 현재에 만족하지 않고 어떠한 사람이든 제자리 걸음을 하지 않는다.
过去的荣耀就存留在记忆中，这一抹红色要照亮未来。
为之付出的心血越多，收获的果实才越甘甜。
赛场上的事怎能尽如人意？我只想追求无愧于心。
保持微笑，胜利总会专顾你。
在尝过赢得一切的滋味之后，你绝对不会甘心做第二名。
尖矛和利刃是勇者的武器，也有最坚硬的盾和扬起风帆的大旗。
如果翻不过这座山， 他们就听不到你的故事。
这个故事的结局将由我们来谱写。为了无悔，为了胜利，为了站在世界这边。
The LPL intro video gets me every single time. Welcome back to the English broadcast of the Chinese LPL. And we're now tuning in to Snake Sports home arena in Chongqing in the Snake Pit itself. And who's going to be there challenging them today? It's not Indiana Jones, it's actually TOP. So best of luck to them here today. There have definitely been more people escaping the Snake Pit than there were at the start of the Spring Split. Because basically, they were just taking names. Everybody was getting destroyed in the Snake Pit. But for now, it seems a bit like a 50-50 to be honest. I'm Paul, so this is Raz. We're going to be taking the desk for the rest of the day. So how you doing, Raz?
I'm doing well, doing well. I agree holistically with you. Snake's been having some troubles, but I love the fact that their play has been really catching up to the meta. So I don't know, TOP, they're gonna have a little bit battle to go up against here.
Yes, and no, right? Because they're self-inflicted troubles, I think, for Snake, because they are just trying everything right now. They are indeed the mad scientists of the LPL, but boy, is it fun to watch, because you don't know what's going to come out of them. I'm not sure if the Snake coach knows what's going to come out with them, because it seems like SUFM is the ringleader. You see him on cams, and he's just like, all right, boys, we're going to be doing an Ivor and Rengar come here today, and bot lane's like, what? And the Snake coach is like, what? And it's like, okay, lock it in. And it's like, okay, SUFM, but he's bringing everything to the table. It's a new thing every single time, but what it allows him to do is upset some of the bigger teams in the league, so because they don't know what's going on, but it also means against a team like TOP, who, yes, have had an upward trajectory, it's probably also a 50-50 on who's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that you made a mention of them upsetting teams, because that just happened this week going up against EDG with the same damn style. So Snake as a team is real fun to watch. We make a mention of it every time because they are, as a team, has changed holistically with the subbing of their AD carry, bringing in Houdier in the bottom lane position, and just saying that it's all going to be on SOFM. So that major change makes it so you're going to lose matches naturally. This is not something you've practiced a year in advance. So there's been a massive change, and it's a great investment, saying that we think this is going to last some time. And so if it's the case, then this split will only be a warm-up for us.
But at the same time, I think SUFM is, in his own way, very reliable in the sense that he's putting up the numbers, but maybe not necessarily in the champions he's playing. Like, we've seen Kaiser in the jungle as a gold funnel, we've seen Aurelia in the jungle, we've seen everything out of him, but he is actually pretty consistent on the numbers, Raz.
Yeah, 28% damage percentage as a jungler. I have literally never seen that before, and that's because obviously with the gold funneling strategies and Snake just hard committing to it, then that's just the standard. Of course, there's an immediate drop off because not every team goes for gold funneling every single game. So XX, his opponent, who's at third place, has 18%. So that's a 10% drop off from first to third place just based off that strategy alone.
Yeah, it's gigantic. But to talk about XX, he is vastly improved coming out from now to what we saw at the end of the last split, because XX wasn't having a great time. He was benched at the end of the split, and then we didn't see him for a while, and then he came back swinging in this split. And I think a large part of TOP's success has been on XX back.
Two things. You're right about XX, but also BSYY as well.
True.
TOP as a team has really gotten it together. So a lot of the biggest problems of TOP before is that they were hectic. Their early games were, they were sometimes getting their first blood across, but then they would be a little bit too aggro, too aggressive. They would be starting fights without proper setup. So adding in BSYY, their former coach when they're on Dan Gaming was a major injection for them. So I love to see it, and we get to see players like XX, who we had casted aside, saying that why not just bring Karin in every game? He's been with them since they've been into the LSPL. So Karin has been that, Korean import that has been with the team for longer, but XX, when he first came on the split, just challenging for Karin's position, has only gotten better, and this is an amazing split, as it's been probably the greatest jungle ascension I've seen in quite some time. Last split, off the map. This split, 3rd place.
I actually love the fact that you're talking about the roster on TOP, because for me, that was one of the biggest changes we've seen out from this team. Because before, remember, it's just like, hey, we put all this money into this massive top lane import. We've got to use them every single game. And now, Marin, nowhere to be seen on the bench. We're actually having a full Chinese roster right now, and this is the best that TOP have ever looked. This organization, the backbone of Dan Gaming, straight up the best that they've ever looked. And right now, it seems like they're actually investing in their homegrown talent, and I love to see it.
That's interesting, because I agree with you. I think right now TOP is struggling with 2 things. Talent versus team coordination. When they first came into the league, they had team coordination down packed. That's how they were able to upset EDG in their first split, in their first week, that is. And they found themselves in the first place of the Western Conference.
He also cheesed them.
You know what? I call that team coordination. I'll take that. But that's why their team fighting was what they're known for. Their cheese is what they were known for, because if they went for a strategy, they all leaned on it. And then the problem is, once the split went on, their talent didn't match up. Here's their bloodiness ratio that we were hitting on earlier on. It's fairly low, and that means that they've lengthened out their game. They're going back to what was good in the past, which was the team play element. But they're trying to struggle between talent. And now that's why I really love the fact that XX is showcasing that he is a strong jungle talent, because now they can just put in lies. Now their communication does line up, and they can play around a new talent in XX.
And you can see their previous wins as well, 2-1 versus FPX. Only one analyst on the team predicted that one, and they were correct. And then it was also WE, Team WE, who they took the 2-0 over Raz.
Absurd. It's absurd that they can have this much success in such a short time. And you mentioned the WE fight. This was the first set WE had in Sion, and it was a major upset, and these team fights were how it happened.
It was an impressive performance coming out of TOP against them, and then we can also see their game against FPX, and this is on Tuesday, one of our non-broadcasted days, but again, equally as impressive out from them.
And it's all in the team fights. Look at the vision control in the areas that it's happening. It's primarily happening around Dragon. In the previous stat, you saw their Dragon percentage was rather high. It always comes down to the fact that TOP, the major settings for their fights are around the major objectives of Baron and Dragon. Baron, of course, they had great Baron control. Take a look at this. This happens pretty frequently with their games recently. And so they can allow for themselves to get the team fights, but they've always been looking for since they come into the LPL, that is. And so it's all started in the coaching position. BSY has really injected in a lot of great strategy, proper discipline. So it's longer game times in a meta in which you've been having some pretty short game times. It's what I love to see from TOP, and maybe they can take that upset versus Snake today.
It's that, and I do actually want to take a second just to go deeper on BSYY, because of course he was with Dan Gaming, then he moved, then he was on FPX, and we were like, okay, how's this going to work out? The first game we saw, they literally went 20-minute Baron. It's like, oh, okay, I see. And then he goes back over to now TOP, and then we have a much more aggressive team as we take a look at the team rosters. We'll kick this off with Snake, Flounder in the top lane, SOFM in the jungle, with Guoguo in the mid, and Hudia and Maestro. No AD carry to be seen.
Yep, that's why all eyes are on SOFM. If he gets his hands on Graves, you have yourself an AD carry. He's just going to be roaming from camp to camp.
On the opposite side, it will be TOP with Lies in the top lane, XX in the jungle, with Goong in the mid lane, and Chocho and Cat in the bottom.
And now my champion to watch for here is going to be Taliyah, because Goong is a fantastic Taliyah player. XX has proven that he can play it himself, so that's a first pick priority coming in for this team, knowing that Goong is going to be starting them off.
Indeed, and this is a more aggressive squad coming out from TOP, and Raz, I feel like we're both aligned that we think that this game is going to be bloody. It's going to be a hot mess, but is it going to be fun? 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fun to say, like, have that question, because between both of these teams historically, you expect bloody games. I'm just surprised that we looked at that stat and it's TOP slowing it down. So is that natural aggression going to get pulled out of them? SOFM always goes up against teams and challenges them in the jungle position, in the lanes, and he says, if you guys don't do something, we'll force you to do it. So I think a major question is if TOP ends up crumbling to that pressure, or if they can thrive underneath it. It's always a good question to see if that actually, what ends up happening when the matchup comes through.
You're totally right. I mean, I called them still an aggressive team because it still feels like with TOP, but they were also fast to begin with, so slowing down is still them pushing forwards. But I think they're also the type of team who rises to a challenge. And I think that if Snake bust out something random in the jungle in the mid lane, which they will in this series, then I was trying to figure out what's going on here with the tape. Yeah, I think that TOP will rise to the challenge, and we've seen some adaptation come out from them in the split so far. We've seen a bunch of different picks come from their way as well. We even saw the Lissandra in their FPX series, so I know there is more stuff in the tank, and I think that if they have been preparing for the set in particular, it's like, okay, what do we bring out to try and stymie whatever Snake Sports are going to bring out today?
Yeah, and just hitting on the Lissandra point, I've been liking the fact that Lissandra has slowly been poking her head back into the meta.
I love it.
Usually happens when a Graves is in the meta, because Lissandra herself is really hard to play. Early laning phase is really poor. Mana is definitely hard for her. She doesn't have the consistent damage and really is just about the burst potential. So you need the follow-up damage, and that's why Graves is so strong. You have your collateral damage, the burst that he naturally provides with his Q as well. So that combination is excellent. I love the fact that TOP are going to be utilizing it because Graves is a champion that we see more often than not for XX. So Graves is already the first champion that I expect to be banned by the side of Snake.
Yeah.
Sure, Snake can play it themselves, and we've seen what SOFM can do with it, but he has such a wide champion pool, like absurdly large, that I think he just doesn't take that chance.
It's an old school combo as well. The Earl Graves Lissandra. I know yesterday we had a modern twist on it. I was casting with Froskuren, and we saw the Nocturne and the Syndra come out. Again, at level 6, just blast the mid lane point and click. So it's still obviously going to be just as prevalent having that mixed damage, and whoever you are, you're probably going to pop. And especially if you have like a carry in the mid lane, a squishy carry at that, you are able to shut them down. So Lissandra definitely helps in that regard. Plus also being able to wave clear into gold funnel strategies in the mid lane, obviously going to be nice as well.
Yeah, and that's why when both of these teams are on the field, you usually expect something. Like something weird in pick bans, something that you could look back and always make a reference to your friends. Because if we're looking at an EDG game, you can almost make a guess before the game happens what the picks are going to be. And the only point of contention is how they're going to play it. If they're going to be cleaner or one to the next. So consistency is there for that team. But for these teams, consistency doesn't exist. They're trying to find that consistency, and they have nice funnel strategies, weird strategies, out of meta strategies that you would love to see if they can pull out.
Yeah, personally, I wasn't there for the Aurelia in the jungle game that SOFM pulled out, but I would love to see it again. I would absolutely love to see that, because I know it was being toyed with by a couple of people in solo queue, because it can theoretically clear, and the ganks are not terrible, but yeah, we'll see.
That's the big question. Because even though everyone talks about the Aurelia in that composition, what I love about it is the combination of Aurelia and Nautilus.
Yes.
So the Nautilus makes it so her clear is even better in the jungle. A lot of these single clear junglers like Aurelia and Rengar, you're like, well, it's not going to work, except she's getting a lot of farm in the mid lane, so that's never going to be contested. And the support is always going to be able to help her clear out. So Nautilus makes it so much easier, not only for the clear, but the pick potential of the countless CC that he provides as well. So like an Aurelia walking at you with just a big metal bodyguard. I had to stop there just a second.
I thought you were going Bioshock. I was like, that's fine. No, I see it.
Just at all times, you can never challenge the Aurelia because you see the bodyguard in the back and you're like, all right, I'm just going to go to the next
Not dealing with that Big Daddy.
Exactly. And so I would love to see what Maestro is willing to pick up here because, yeah, you know, throw the Nautilus out there, throw the Ivern. Like, his champion pool is actually just absurd, and he's just doing whatever he can to help out SOFM.
Yes, but it's also the way that they interact in the micro sense. And Paulson's talking about micro again, but it's very interesting to watch because on the Ivern, he places down the brushes exactly when SOFM wants to reset on his jump, and that is all the way through those team fights as well. That is split-second decision-making. Same on the Nautilus. Follows them around, weakens the weaker camps like Raptors so you can get the Q spam around the camp. It's all these small micro interactions which are fascinating to watch, and it comes from just spending a lot of time playing together.
Yeah. A lot of that, a lot of time just communicating. I know a lot of our criticisms for Snake throughout the years have been SOFM coordinating with his mid laner, SOFM coordinating with Tank, with Zatai, and it's always based around communication errors between the two of those. But something you never practice is communication with your support. So I love the fact that I guess last year SOFM had proper communication with Crystal when he was playing Thresh consistently.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see that with Maestro. It's always difficult. You need to put down the time outside of the games in solo queue. And it seems like that's just been happening because both of them has been on point.
I mean, as a League of Legends concept, if you go to the days of old, it's always been about jungle and support when you look for the roams to try and secure that vision. But it's never really gone as deep as, well, the support is now the mid lane, you know? Like, and now it's actually gone a step further. So it's just like, well, if you have that in place already, congratulations, you're going to be good in this one. But there's a lot of things in this meta specifically that a lot of teams wouldn't have thought about before. And the reason why I think that Snake is, in particular is thriving is because they were already doing this, but now they've kind of been unleashed, right? Like, they can do everything that they always wanted to do. Even when you think about a player like Doinby on Rogue Warriors, still currently undefeated, he always was a tank player in the mid lane. He always wanted to build tank on Victor on a mages and do all of that. Now, it's okay. It's okay to be weird. And it obviously, it makes you a good team because they're currently undefeated.
Yeah, it definitely just, it benefits creativity. And I know we're going to have, I guess I can call it secondary match of the week later today, EDG versus RW. That these players, SOFM, Doinby, technically you can say SMLZ as well, players that are so creative, naturally speaking, that they can actually just go on a stage, a large stage, and still perform on a pick you would never expect to come out.
Yep.
This has been really well for them. They've been really benefiting. SOFM has, Rogue Warriors has definitely been benefiting from the meta. And so you'd expect them to start topping the rankings in the Western Conference.
And it's all the more important for those two teams, EDG and Rogue Warriors. I'll touch on that again in a second, because we do have an update, guys. You're probably wondering why we're just looking at players, why we're looking at us. You want to see some League of Legends.
I never asked that
currently, it's not you, Raz. I'm sure in the minds of our viewers right now, some people are going to be thinking that. Well, we do have a peripheral issue on stage currently, so we are just having that one investigated as soon as the referees know exactly what's going on. Well, we'll find out more information, but for now, it should just be a swap-in, swap-out issue. We've had a bunch of these this week, so it's nothing new. It should be done in a couple minutes.
I'm going to make a suggestion.
What's that, Raz?
To League Ops. Have your referees either wear that striped outfit, the one that the wrestling referees wear, or come on with a trench coat, a hat. Make it seem as if you're an actual detective, so we know when if it's actually happening. I just want an indicator. Somebody, like a visual indicator that there's some investigation happening. Maybe just have like a man wearing a pocket watch that has like an incredibly handsome like.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just saying anything that's stereotypical.
I was trying to think what direction you were going in, because man with trench coat, it was just like he's going to open it up, and then inside are a million different mouses,
of course,
and keyboards. On the other side is different headsets, and I'm like, that would work too. You know, if there's a peripheral issue on stage, what do you want? Do you want something from Jingdong, from Suning maybe?
On stage. I would always wonder what the peripheral sponsorships are for Snake, and I'm going to investigate that earlier on. It's always fun. It's always fun. I know. I know from Dignitas we had a good old Corsair sponsors there.
Sure.
You'd always like flash the Corsair whenever you had the chance on camera. Just like if you were.
Flourish.
Yeah. Make them look good, because they always had some really good mouses. A lot of good peripherals there. Also, I'm not saying for you guys to sponsor me, but I'm saying you to sponsor.
Also depends on the type of peripheral that the player's used to, because remember the good old days. I mean, there's still players around the world that I'm sure that still use trackballs.
What the hell is
think
trackball?
Trackball.
My God.
Because Kerp, was one of those good old Kerp.
Never gonna find one of those players again.
Doinby, I believe, uses a wireless mouse.
Okay, but you're now comparing
a trackball to a wireless mouse. You're goddamn right.
Get out of here. I'm never gonna hear that out of another human
wireless
being
mouse.
again.
Imagine, like, would you think of the anxiety you'd have on stage, where you're just like, oh, I hope I charge my batteries today. I don't want to be mid-team fight and then my mouse conks out. You know what I mean?
That's what. See, here's the thing. With a trackball, it makes sense. You probably had some weird upbringing that now suddenly your life is just a trackball.
Sure.
I can understand that. That's your life. A wireless mouse is one of those things that are just naturally upsetting. Because, yeah, you're right. You'll have those moments where you're just in the middle of the game and you're like, I should have had a wired mouse. So that one, I naturally feel like Doinby is just going to get a wired mouse.
Well, think about it. It can be the same thing. You could be brought up on wireless mouse, on wireless mice.
I don't give a damn. You're still going to learn the lesson the hard way that you need a wired mouse.
Well, so would the trackball player.
No. I saw Kerp. His play was still excellent. And so I'm never going to say, pick up another peripheral because your mechanics are lacking. That's never going to come out of my mouth.
So what's your stance on wireless? You just don't like them?
I just told you, like, so I've had
I'm just making sure so I can get this on tape and then play it back later.
I've had 1 or 2 interactions from literally in-game. And I guess I'm now AFK and I'm going to die. because I have a wireless mouse.
But Doinby is one of the best performing mid laners in the league right now.
And he also had to pause the game because he
Okay,
ran out of batteries off his wireless mouse.
Yeah, that did happen.
So I'm just saying, that's literally that's a core issue. That's the Achilles heel.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a dual mouse where it can be both wireless and you can plug it in, then I think it'd be okay, but I don't know if it's one of those. Currently, we are still just investigating the issue on stage, guys, so we believe it's a peripheral issue. We're still trying to figure out which team it is, which player. But for now, we actually get to appreciate some of the fan signs. We are in Chongqing currently in the Snake Pit. And of course, there's always a massive turnout for these Snake fans.
Yeah,
it's a big arena as well, just as big as Shanghai.
I wish and hopefully in the future, I'll get a chance to visit Chongqing. Getting to visit the cities, and very soon we'll get to visit Dalian.
Yep.
Incredible to see the different cultures, different dialects. Just so many, I would say, unique traits for a lot of these cities and regions. The Sichuan region, of course, is home to both.
You went to Chengdu?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I went to Chengdu too, actually.
Oh, you did? Okay,
yeah,
that's true. How was Chengdu for you?
Oh, it was fun. I mean, I didn't get to see a lot of the city, unfortunately, because, you know, we're doing that whole working the event thing. But I would love to go back, actually, because I know you actually got a chance to go around the city in that culture shock, right?
Yeah, because there was a fantastic, I would say it was more like a central park. You go there, it was in the middle of the city. You get to see the beautiful, I would say, there was an amusement park element to it. I got smashed in bumper cars. That's unfortunate. There were a lot of 8-year-old kids that now know that they just demolished a black man. But and then you get to the beautiful like environment, like the lakes around the area. It was incredibly large, just within the city, and so you get to a real good vibe of the calm environment.
For sure. I mean, what was cool to me, you were having tea in that park.
Oh yeah.
And someone came up and just had your ears cleaned. Oh.
And you know what my ears tell me?
What's that, Raz?
I think my ears are telling me that we're just about to get into Champion Select.
Crystal clear hearing. And that's all because of Chengdu, so
100%.
If you want to hear better, head over to Chengdu, get your ears cleaned.
And have a cup of tea.
And have a cup of tea at the same time. Heck yeah. All right, we're getting into game between Snake and TOP. Or at the very least, Champion Select. Nocturne, Talia, and Lucian will be advanced from Snake. On the opposite side, TOP will remove the Graves, Braum, and Tarek. It will be a first pick of the Vladimir.
Now it's a real challenge to Snake whether or not they're going to continue on with their gold funneling. Now they have the Nautilus that I once mentioned. So the Vladimir is 100% going to the bottom lane with Guoguo. You just want to see if TOP's bans are worthwhile, because Tarek and Braum 100% are great detractors to Graves and Master Yi. I'm surprised that they took out both Braum and Graves. Haven't seen a lot of Braum. Actually, Braum and just any random AD carry work very well.
I think it's just the fact they're trying to hit as many partners to potential duos as possible from Snake. So all three of those will pair with something. TOP will first pick the Swain. Now I've seen a bunch of bot lane Swain, but also an equal amount of mid lane. Camille also coming for them as well, another flex pick for themselves. And on the opposite side, Snake will lock in themselves a Aatrox and a Shen coming in here.
So this is interesting. Now, if you've seen any Rogue Warriors games or Faker recently with SKT, then you know that Aatrox is a flex pick. And I'm willing to believe that Guoguo can play, but I already mentioned Vladimir's up there, and so that makes things a little bit awkward. So we already see from the first 3 picks from Snake that they have great skirmish and team fighting just around the Shen, Aatrox, and Vladimir. We already know what Shen Vladimir can do in the later game team fights. But Aatrox as well has some great engage points, so I'd love to see where it goes.
For sure. We'll see if Guoguo has actually got a good bead on that one. It's very different from the typical mid lane champion. Darius has been picked up for TOP right here. Going to dissuade a lot of picks in the mid lane and top lane, depending on where it goes. Olaf taken away from SOFM here if they are choosing to go for a more conventional standard jungler right here. Olaf is a takeaway.
And I love the fact that Olaf fan, they know that SOFM still plays it quite a bit, and they also know that Shen is another great entry point with the Olaf. So they're just trying to make it as hard as possible. I think Nocturne's been already banned, so there's no other way in which Snake can benefit off of it. So, and of course the Aurelia ban, sure, that's actually just completely focused towards SOFM once again.
Yeah.
So TOP has done a lot of research onto this one, of what they can actually do to get the benefit off of this draft.
And Asol will be the final ban here as well. And Zoe picked up for TOP. Yeah, I actually love the fact that it's very clear what TOP have been looking towards. They have really studied Snake, because it's very easy to go up against Snake and be like, you know what, let's just look at all other games this week because there are too many things that Snake have brought out. Let's just not bother. We'll just ban the standard things and we'll do our own thing. It's clear that they're trying to take away strategies from Snake.
And they're very focused on the early game from TOP. You know, Camille and Zoe are very strong level 2 to level 4 mid lane jungle duo. That is incredible. I wonder now what SOFM is going to be picking up in the jungle. It could be Jace jungle.
It could be, but I know Flandre is a bit of a Jace player. Is it all about those sick mechanics?
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Flandre can play Jace. I expect him to be picking up Aatrox. Aatrox is actually a fairly alright jungler as well. So we'll just get to see once the timer starts ticking down.
That's what I'm talking about. The Blood Harbor Ripper will be entering the Rift. We've got a Pike coming in for TOP.
There we go. And I mean, we're already talking about the early game element from TOP. 100% you add in a Pike, and now you have just so much pick potential in the bottom lane. Who ends up going bot from Snake's end, they're going to have to really relax. They're also going to have to take tabs of where Camille is, because Camille has so many engage options in these early lanes. Going mid lane where there's a sleepy trouble bubble with Ignite. Going top lane where there's a hook for a Darius. And bottom lane where you have another hook, much larger one with the Pike. So a lot of early game gank opportunities for TOP.
Kill pressure across the board. And there's still 2 seconds left for Snake to swap up, so I'm not going to call it until now. Here we go. Okay, so Aatrox in the top lane. Jace in the jungle. Vladimir in the mid lane with Hudir playing Shen in the bottom lane with a Galio.
There we go. God bless you, SOFM. This is why you love to see him play. You take as many champions away, and he says, I can literally play any champion in the game.
Yep.
So you have a carry pick here, and I'm telling you right now, this Jace is not going to go towards tier. He's going to go straight towards the early game damage, and he's going to try and empower as many, I would say, ganks or skirmishes as possible. Jace has a surprisingly a lot of damage in the early game, so it's going to be fun to watch in his perspective.
You know, I actually think that SOFM may just win the worldwide award for the biggest champion pool, hands down. Because not only is he not constricted to a single lane, he's picking from every lane, every champion, every role. It doesn't matter. SOFM's got it in his champion pool. But wait, there's more. So we need to also think about in-game where these champions are going to go, because we know the players that are playing them. But in terms of where they're actually going to go in-game, this can still swap up.
I will say the one that makes the most sense to me is Shen and Vladimir in the bottom lane.
Galio in the mid.
Aatrox in the top lane. Galio mid. And Jace jungle.
Yes.
So that's where I see it coming through. The only worry is now that if it's Galio mid, that it's actually just a conventional composition. The Galio should be picking up the majority of the waves. So it's just literally going to be a Jace jungle with no asterisks. Nothing in between.
Yeah, it's just a Jace jungle. It's like the mind game on mind game on mind game, and then we end up back at square one. It's just like, wait, that's just Jace jungle now.
And this is when I can say that Coach Chris has let them gone wild, man. He's
yes!
So Coach Chris coming into the team, of course, the new coach, the new injection of strategy for this lineup, and he's basically told SOFM, you run wild, you
do
go
whatever
free today.
you want, control the team. You own the budget. And they're 2 and 3 right now, 3 and 2 right now, so it has been working out for them. But we're about to be getting onto the Rift here in the Snake Pit as I hand it over to Chongqing.
And you know what? They liked the chants so much that they wanted to take some time and listen to it. I respect that. I like the chants too.
Yeah, give me a second, pause the game, and let me just remove an air cup so I can hear them.
And let's chrono break it back to minute 1, or second 1, I suppose, so we can hear them get the chants again.
Yeah.
That's the game. Let's see how many times they actually chant for us.
I actually do wonder if they'll chant once again when we get back into game.
We were in Shanghai not so long ago. It ended up happening. A lot of the times there was a restart in the game, and they ended up chanting again. So you get those moments, and you're like, man, we got to see how dedicated they are. Yeah. I can tell you with certainty that the Snake audience will do it again. There'll be times where they're, much like the RNG audience, break ranks, continue to chant no matter what.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as only 3 chants.
That's so true. Yesterday, yeah, RNG just popped off. For sure. Yeah, again, it's just a small issue on stage. We don't have an update for you yet, guys, so as soon as we have it, we will send it your way. but I have to assume it is on Snake's side because I definitely saw.
Did you see the trench coat?
Oh no, I didn't see the trench coat, but I saw Goong's just his head on the desk, and he was like, "Please, no more."
I feel like that's his natural state. Goong is a very peaceful man. He's at Zen at almost all times. I'm so certain that he has made a friendship pact with EasyHoon.
Oh really?
No, and Athena. I feel like all three of them.
Oh, and SMLZ.
No, he's a different case. I'm telling you, just those three Korean players are almost always at ease, always calm, no matter the situation. They're getting camped, I'm calm.
Why is SMLZ not part of that, or was that a story for a different time?
Well, I mean, you know when those three are happy.
Yeah.
Just don't know when SMLZ is happy when he should
tell.
be. No.
He's got that smirk.
Yeah, except when these guys are actually happy, you see the smirk. You see a real smile.
That's true, that's true. Yeah, he's just perma-cool under pressure when he's happy. But,
and it makes sense for Goong's case. Goong is always that player that a lot of people will question if he's, he's washed up. I've heard that when he was playing in the LSPL as well. He's been there for quite some time, a surprisingly amount of time. And it's always the question is like, oh, his career is over. We haven't heard of him in a year or so. So let's move on to the next player. And then he comes into the LPL based off his fantastic Talia performances. You're like, I guess we have to talk about Goong again. They're like, globally, people almost always want to write off the old veterans. But then they come back and smack some sense into you.
I mean, at a certain point, it's kind of fun, right? It's like, oh, is he washed up? Is he going to be good again? You've got all these young upstarts. Hey, like last split, when it was basically the split of like new AD carries coming in, Aibo was having his first like proper split coming through. Jackie was coming of age and back onto like Invictus Gaming. And then you got the old guard. You got players like Uzi. Well, I think Uzi showed the entire world that he's still got what it takes to be the best.
Yeah, I mean, Uzi is a perfect example of both veteranship and skill. And so there'll be times where you do have to make choices on your team. If you find a young blood that is super well skilled, a strong individual, but they don't have the experience, the veteranship, the leadership, and you're like, we need the leadership. We need to be able to like set people on the right path. I think Goong provides that. So it's a great example for TOP in which they can swap between Goong, and at the time they had Chi, or at least in their mid lane, but of course they haven't been utilizing it for quite some time. Now they have Korn, and so you get to see both of them that are actually both veterans. They're both
the same thing.
And so they definitely provide direction for the team.
All right, we do have a small update, guys. It's not that the cameraman has fallen over. It's that we should have 3 to 5 minutes is what I'm hearing. We don't know what the issue is, but I'm having to assume it's still the same peripheral issue. So that is our tentative. I've just confirmed it was the peripheral issue, so we're just getting that one swapped in and swapped out, and hopefully we should be able to head back into game again. If there's a bigger delay, we'll inform you, or if there's a shorter delay, then we'll be in game. And you can obviously see yesterday, I know I was told it was 3 to 5 minutes, and 20 seconds later we were in game, and I was like, heck yeah. That's what I like to be told. You always want to overshoot, and then feel surprised when you're in game earlier.
And you never know how quickly you can resolve these peripheral issues. I remember I've had a few of them in the past, and you just realize it's like, you have a locker room in the back, or at least sub-peripherals that you can always go to if you don't have it. That's just always the case because you never want to come into a stadium with your one peripheral. It doesn't work. And then you're like, alarm, alarm. So yeah, they do have
and sometimes when you plug it in, it doesn't work either. You plug it in, it's like, da-da-da, and then nothing happens. And it's like, are you kidding me, mouse? Like, download your software.
I'm actually currently having that problem with my own PC at home. So I actually have to forcibly reattach it. So I know how that feels, man.
I think we all do. Anyone who plays video games or even uses a computer knows the pain of sticking in a mouse and it's just like, not recognized software. And you're like, are you kidding me?
And you're just like,
and then you plug it into a different USB and it's like, okay, maybe it's that port. And it still doesn't work. And you're like, all right, well, do I just need a new mouse? Like,
just try everything in the... You try everything in the kitchen book.
Even
the Super Nintendo method of just blowing in the cartridge. And you're like, actually, there's no such thing as a cartridge, but it looks like a cartridge. So I'm just going to blow in it and hope for the best.
Man, I totally forgot about that. I know some of our viewers nowadays, I don't even know if they ever use cartridges in their life. I remember back when I was a kid, for sure, you would do the blow method on the cartridge, and it would work more often than not as well.
Yeah, it would. And I'm always concerned about those because I remember one of my baseball Super Nintendo games, literally just like there was something inside of it. Like I would just kind of rattle it and there's definitely a broken piece of something, but it would work every time.
But it was probably like plastic, right? Because if it's plastic, it's whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of plastic in those things, so that's very fair. But those things were definitely trucks. You throw them off a building and they would still work. after you blow it in the cartridge. So it's like, that's just the life of a
built like they used to, Raz. You know, back in when we all had Nokias and you could just throw them off a skyscraper and it'd still work at the bottom. You know.
That's why I hated discs.
The N64 is all good.
I hated discs. Going into PlayStation 1s and all that, and you're like, well, you can't blow this to work. It's scratched. It's done for life. You're like, all right.
We've got to go back, is what I'm saying. Back to the cartridge days.
Yeah, I'm always down for that. I'm always down for that. It's gotten more complicated. Now you just have to look for this individual file that's messing up. And then sometimes you'll never find it. Sometimes you just have the weirdest solution to your problems.
Exactly. It's probably because it's not physical anymore. So you can't just like kick it and then it would just suddenly work, you know?
I will say right now, that's something you can never convince your elderly. That it's like, you know, my mother, my father, they know the cartridge days, and they think everything works like a cartridge. So, like, I just had experiences when they're like, why isn't this TV or this flat screen or this PC isn't working? And they bang it, and you're like, hey, you're going to break it. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to do.
It's got a virus. It's like, no, it doesn't have a virus.
Yeah.
It's
so,
a
like,
TV.
That's something you have to constantly teach the people around you.
All right, we do have another update. It's gone up to 5 minutes, unfortunately. This is, you know, when you're downloading something and you're just like, 3 minutes left, and it shoots up to 5 and you're like, huh? But yeah, it's again, we're just trying to resolve this peripheral issue on stage. So again, trying to keep you appraised as and when we get that information.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do?
What's that, Raz?
I'm gonna do some investigative work myself.
All right.
I know that there's.
Are you gonna try and find out which player it is?
I'm gonna find out which peripheral it is.
Oh,
you gotta get these
going
people
one
up.
step further.
What I love is because I watch a lot of fighting games myself.
Yep.
I remember way back when it was like a specific player. I think it was Cien. But either way, I don't know if people know him. But there was a time where there was a literal peripheral issue. This man's fight stick was not working. I mean, it would work, but the issue is that it would disconnect.
Right.
Or constantly press start. One of the two. You're just like, well, I guess he got disqualified because his peripheral didn't work. And from that point forward, people meme the hell out of that specific peripheral that I will not name. And you're just like, yep, that's what happens. You never want to put that out there.
Not at all. Now, I have been looking while you've been talking, Raz, and everyone's interacting with, everyone I've seen so far has been interacting with their keyboard and mouse. So I'm just trying to spot, it's like spot the difference. I'm trying to see if anything is amiss.
Are you trying to be the investigator as well?
Well, yeah,
There's only room for one investigator here.
You kidding? No, they work in pairs, right? Detectives work in pairs.
Depends on who. Because I watched some Detective Conan / Case Closed.
Okay, all right.
There's only one detective there, and he's a child.
Yeah, but that's also an anime. I don't think it works the same in real life. Though I try my hardest to make things work. Yeah, that's fair.
There we go.
Yeah.
Get off my
own argument there. But have you figured it out?
Absolutely not.
You're the one who were promising me things, Raz.
I make a lot of promises that I do not fulfill.
You are the flip-flopper. Though yesterday you neither flipped nor flopped, and you got called out for it. So I was like, that's a little unfair.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna start calling people out in this broadcast.
Yeah.
Because I go down with the ship now.
Yeah, you do.
Now I'm on that ship. I'm the captain of that ship.
Yeah.
There's no new captains. My name will go down
in history.
Yes.
In a blaze of glory.
Yes.
Did you go for IG yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. You were with PP the cat?
Yeah. Very cute cat.
Unlucky.
Hey, you know what? Good.
Predicted the first 2 games, to be fair, PP.
You're right about that. And my thing about PP the cat, because I knew of this cat before we even did this segment.
Right.
Because I've been a Weibo fiend as of late, and the one pet that I've been following is PP the cat. Because SNG as a team have been hard pushing their cat, because she is the cutest creature in the world. Top tier, 100%. And that's why you always want to keep your pets as babies. Once they get grown up, you're like, all right, this is now.
You give them an Everstone so they never evolve?
Oh my goodness. It's always a mean thing to do when you keep your Pokemon from evolving.
Is it? I don't know if it is, because you literally just said the same thing about PP. Anyway, guys, we have swapped in and out the peripheral in question.
All right, these cameramen are too good. They've stopped me from identifying who it was.
Yeah, they really have. Yeah, we don't know which player it is. And just like the penguins of Madagascar, you didn't see anything, just smile and wave. Oh,
he's run!
Oh, it's him. Oh, I guess he's probably just gonna shoot to the restroom real quick.
That's always a possibility, man. When you get into these long pauses, you need to get it out there.
Yeah, it's also totally fair, because it's just like, you're like, okay, I can last like 30 minutes. We've gone for a mid-game composition. We're gonna be ending in 30. I'll go afterwards.
Yeah, and
right now we're in a pause.
And you gotta gauge yourself, because both of these teams, we already made a mention that they can go turn into a very quick game. just based off of the natural instinct of a lot of these players and teams. But strategically, we're talking about the stats based off of what they've been forcing themselves to do. Snake is a pretty long-term team. They're the longest game times for themselves because even though they would get the early advantage, they've tapered their aggression once they've had the lead to kind of just base their focus around the vision control that they have. So, I mean, if you need to empty your bladder, please do it because this could either go quickly or it could go very long.
Yeah, you're in for the long haul.
It's a possibility.
Very, very true. I remember a few days ago when Korn was actually tagged in for TOP over Gung. Just didn't arrive to stage. Just wasn't out. As we're asking, we were like, where's the mid laner? They swapped him in, but he just wasn't on stage.
Yeah, I'm the one actually told you that, or at least I
oh, really? That was you?
Because I was watching him.
Yeah.
So he came on the stage to begin with.
Right.
He actually walked to the stage, but then, you know, he went rogue and he went right back. And I was like, oh, God. Well, this might take a little longer than you would expect.
Yeah, because when we heard, they were just like, yeah, Korn's just not there. And we're like, what do you mean he's not there?
Yeah.
So we like stood up and looked at him and like, wow, he's actually just not there.
And you also thought that Korn was going to the top lane because you heard top.
Yes. I was just like, Korn is going to top, and I was like, I checked to confirm. And I was like, Korn is going top, and he's like, yes, Korn top. And I was like, okay. And Korn's the top lane. And I was talking about like, well, this is what Snake are doing. They don't have an AD carry right now. They've got 2 supports, and it's like two mid laners. Sure, make it happen.
And that's what's fun about TOP is literally you get all of the proper, memes and all that. You look at every TOP fan and audience member, you're like, top Marin. You see that on almost every sign because people, of course, people will always talk about Marin as the top laner for the team and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, all right, well, they've all caught on to the joke. And the worst thing is the point you mentioned. You never want to say top because when you're in game, there's a top lane. That makes things very awkward, and your point can be very muddled very quickly.
Very true. My producer just poked me. It's like revisionist history. You're right. I took some liberties with the story. We are still waiting, guys.
You can't be trusted.
I think right now we may just be waiting on players to take a restroom break and come back. Hopefully the peripheral in question is all good, but we will only know when we get into game.
So let's look back at the champions specifically because I want to prepare myself for what we're about to get.
Yeah, remember we have a Jace jungle if you have just joined us.
Yeah, and that's what's fun is that we do have a Jace jungle, but I'm actually going to direct my attention to the TOP composition right quick before we talk about the Jace jungle. Because even though, Jace should be a lot more aggressive, he's not going to be the farm jungle, or at least if he does, then we'll have problems in that regard. But, oh, you even have the picks here. No, thank you, Mr. Producer. I love you. So, Pyke, Zoe, Camille, there's a lot of pick potential from that alone. And even though you would look towards TOP's composition, you'd say, well, where's the semblance of team fighting? And you'd look towards Swain, but Swain just also adds to the pick potential. So TOP is very much hard focused on vision control, or at least that's their key to victory here.
Yep.
So TOP needs to have their lanes proper really early on, need to work around XX, get deeper vision, so then Jace has a very tough time if that happens. Because he can never set up for the poke that he wants to be able to set up for if he's looking to walk in towards a specific lane for either a skirmish or a poke off of a tower. That makes it so much harder for him because he needs vision control to actually properly land that shock blast combination. So that's where I'm looking at Snake. They need to break that up a little bit. They need to make it harder for TOP. I think if there's a real lengthier team fight, Snake wins just because of the Aatrox, Galio, and Vladimir combination. That alone is pretty strong. So large 5v5, Snake. Skirmishes and just raw laning phase, I'll give it a TOP.
Absolutely, and to jump off of that point, talking about Swain right now, I actually have come around on Swain a lot, especially when paired with another champion who has a skill shot displacement, that type of thing, because we saw it yesterday with Morgana, and specifically into the Vladimir matchup, because I was talking to Chang Mao, one of the Mandarin casters, about this yesterday, and it's actually just impossible. Eventually you're going to get hit, and to be fair, Zhao, who was just not good at dodgeball that day and was getting hit by everything, but at a certain point it's impossible to dodge every never move, every hook coming in from the Pyke, or every dunk binding coming out from Morgana.
It started out with Fury. Fury was the first player in the LPL to pick up the Swain bottom lane. And the best thing about it was initially it was just a specific Vladimir counter pick. Vladimir is known for just losing out lane push a lot of the time and is just known for getting into the later team fights after the laning phase is done and over with. So putting him in the bottom lane, it's fair. He's really gated by, sure, a few levels. Getting to level 9 is wonderful, but his key item spikes are what really makes Vladimir going into these team fights. But Swain, pushes into him consistently. Also has great pick potential, and even though you can pull out of one of them, all you need is the follow-up of, like, in this case, would be a pike hook, and then you can just pull him out because that's your passive as a Swain. So Swain works so well within the laning phase, but then you mentioned everyone's starting to pick him up now because if you look towards LCK, same thing happens here. There's so much kill potential, not on just the pike, but normally you see Morgana in the bottom lane now, either as just a hard support or as the one that's getting the farm.
Yeah, the true bot laner.
So the kill lanes are ridiculous as of late. You get to see a lot of pick potential there just because you're right. You throw enough dark bindings, you throw enough E, it's going to hit, and there's going to be follow-up there. So you're either dead or you're going to have to base. So that's why, even though a lot of my focus is going to be in the mid lane as we're back in the game, anything happens, anything goes in the bottom side of the map.
All right, let's see if the audience is feeling another chant. I'm more than happy to give you your moment in the sun.
They're not goldfish. They already sent them their energy.
That's true. But it was a while back, Raz.
You're right.
It's a reset.
We'll see if we'll see how dedicated they are.
Yeah. All right, we're on to the Rift once again. And we have been going for a couple seconds, so I think we confidently say that the peripheral issue is done and dusted. And we have TOP versus Snake. Now, let's take a quick look at those keystones, see if there's anything out of the ordinary. I'm seeing a lot of normal stuff. I will check in on SOFM. He is taking the Ares into domination.
So there we go. Of course, you would expect Aerie, just because has the proper skirmishing and poke potential. I just want to see where Jace goes. His pathing is going to be important. Oh my god, are you kidding me? This is just another gold funneling, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Because obviously the conversation, if you've just joined us, we were talking before about if there's going to be a gold funnel, is Maestro going to be picking up the farm on the Galio? I also remember TOP banned away a lot of the supports from the mid lane, so this might be an adaptation from Snake to say, well, we don't need Braum, we'll just take a Galio.
Yeah, and you can see it based off the items alone. Maestro does have his support item, so this is going to be another gold funneling towards Jace. You would expect it to be. It would be awkward if it was just Jace alone without the support of, you know, waves and CS. That would make it very hard for him. That being said, now you just get to see what a Galio without farm looks like. We've seen some Galio support in the past, in the LPL as well.
We have.
The problem is mostly in the fact that Galio is great with items, great with tanky items, and so, or AP items. So he has a lot of great scaling ratios. What the heck?
What? Okay. All right.
Mission
so
abort.
Let's
abort it.
Let's break down the crime scene here. Well, we can see where the Jace died.
Yeah, there's the white chalk.
And now Zoe was around the area. And the paddle star was loaded.
Let's take a look. So there's no support from the side of Camille. She's not in the area. It's literally just a 1v1. Excellent. Well, that's unfortunate for SOFM. You get those moments where he just hard focuses on the 1v1 and then forgets that Maestro is not in position and he's just taking the full brunt of the damage. So unfortunate start of the game for SOFM. Real unfortunate.
And problematic. There you go. You can see some of the stats between Snake and TOP, this split so far. Actually, Snake very far ahead in terms of pretty much all metrics. Kill participation, wards per minute, etc. Just looking towards bottom lane once again, right?
That's always been Snake's style, though. Split after split, they've always had the most wards placed, wards killed. That's mostly been on SOFM, and that's been what their coaches have injected them. And yeah, we're going to see bottom lane get hammered. But I love the fact that Snake as a team has always focused on vision control. How they utilize it has been what's been the problem, because they've always been jumping the gun in the previous splits. This time around has been working a lot better around it.
Yeah. Gung himself as well. High kill participation in the mid lane. Down % also high for mid laners, and KDA everything up there. So Gung also been performing well this bit. He has been a large part of why TOP has also been doing well alongside XX in the jungle. How well he's been performing so far. So it's not just been a single person affair. TOP really have all just come together.
People always forget about the team coordination. I mean, when TOP was doing very poorly, the first blame went towards Gung naturally because his individual play was coming, is falling down, but also just team play when he's playing Malzahar. There's nothing, nothing naturally happening around it. He would just be wasting summoners. Oh, that's a lot of great damage happening down on SOFM. But this time around, as you can tell, he's been working very well with XX. That has naturally been the 2v2 that's been working well for him, so his stats have been boosted.
XX again working his way into the enemy jungle. Before we saw him take away the Raptors, he's just constantly denying the denier. I mean, SOFM is the guy to take away camps, and XX is just taking everything he can right now away from him. So this funnel is working, but there's not enough gold actually in the funnel itself for SOFM. Oh, hello. In the bottom lane, getting a stun down from the Bloodheart Ripper himself from Pyke, but Hudia is about to go down for second blood, I should say, over to XX.
There we go. I mean, TOP once again having an amazing start to the game. And here's the thing, you're right about the whole jungle steal situation that SOFM historically known for having those invades stealing consistently. It's actually XX who's above him currently, 3rd place, 18 camps stolen across the split, while SOFM has only had 9. And the reason for that is not because he's been slipping up, it's because when you have these gold funneling compositions, you're not invading as much. You're actually just looking to take as many camps, and you're in the mid lane far more often. So SOFM has actually had to take a step back in gold funneling to just actually lane.
I mean, right now, I'm just looking towards this whole game, and Snake are actually just getting bodied. Mid lane ahead in this 1 versus 2. XX is unfreed and been ganking lanes. Flandre, this is not going well for him. He knows he can trade up because he's got his passive, his Blood Well there, and also he has a bit of extra healing because he's below 3rd, so he gets extra healing. So Lies just needs to be careful. Also, the way that Flandre was positioning and the lack of vision from the TOP top laner means it's like, surely there's got to be something coming my way, but they're both mid.
Oh, and he gets to see them too. I love the fact that redemption is an item for this man. Love it. No sarcasm involved. Anyways, top lane, you're right. Right now, a lot of focus is on, and pressure is on Lies, as we get to see what's happening here.
Cover wall, portal jump, Super Soaker.
But Lies as a top laner in this game is actually all in on the laning phase. He's been heavily pressuring the Aatrox. He's built 2 Doran's items, the shield and the blade, so he can actually output pressure. If he falls behind in any of these skirmishes, makes a single mistake, then his early game is kaboom, because he's already invested the gold into his lane, and it hasn't been working out. So right now he's keeping on par in terms of CS, and what he wants to do is just have the pressure here. So far, so good. He's just been playing a little bit too close to his cards.
He has, again, trading up in the bottom lane. We've got Cat versus Uria. And Shen versus the Pyke matchup. And Pyke's just going to get these more advances there, just clearing away that ward. Again, Goong pressuring into the enemy jungle. And you can see just the amount of wards that have gone deep into Snake's jungle right here. TOP have really been controlling this one. Large part of it has been this 2 versus 2 in the mid lane.
Yeah, Snake needs to start combating that, just because not only Goong and bottom lane clearing out control wards makes it easier for Zoe to head towards the bottom lane, Pyke to go towards the mid lane. It frees up their pick potential a lot more. So it allows for the steals like this to happen. If SOFM can get a proper clear mid lane, he can start contesting that, place a control ward of his own. He doesn't have one, so he'd have to go back to base first.
XX thinking about starting off this dragon here. He has been warded, so Snake are fully aware that this is happening, and you can actually see bot lane is already preemptively pathing upwards to try and stop this one.
This is a really, yeah, you're right about this being a risky play. He needs to get out of here.
Oh, flash force from Guoguo and XX. He's going to get a small heal, but the Dragon's even chiming in. Here's the extra shielding coming out, and somehow he's going to survive. Oh, Guoguo 6 down from the Ignite. Hudia in from the bottom lane, about to fall as well. Chocho takes him down with the Ascension. Double snipes come through. Goong with 2.
2 for nothing, and if you could check on it, XX has 1 HP. Somehow survived after all is said and done, just because, you know, the smite being put down on towards the dragon, he healed up just a little bit more, and so he's able to come out that positive. Incredible overall from TOP to bring in the members and to fight back.
Was it actually 1 HP?
It was very close.
Yeah.
I saw a blinking HP bar. I'm just going to go for it. Go ahead and say 1.
Yeah, real unfortunate, because Guoguo hard committed on that one as well. This actually looked great from Guoguo. It's a perfect combo.
Yeah, take a look at this. The only person that isn't here at that time is actually Jace taking up the wave. Very unfortunate. You can see how close they are to get the kill and how hard they commit to the play when SOFM is not ready and able. So if you're going to go for it, SOFM, please join them. Otherwise, that happens.
Clutch adaptive shield as well. Perfect timing on that one. I just have to come up at the same time. All of these factors move towards him surviving that one. But yeah, even at the very least, even if XX died there, that was probably still going to be a dragon. It would have just been a 1-for-2 trade. So it still was a massive play coming out from TOP. It was just adding insult to injury right there to TOP. Get the first dragon. It's an Infernal. Next dragon's also going to be an Infernal. And TOP, honestly, they're in a fantastic flying start to this game.
Yeah, and just to really hit it home in the sense that Snake really should have got a major benefit off that. SOFM should have been grouping in that area. They should have committed as a team because that was such a disadvantageous position for TOP, for XX to be tanking the Dragon and already be at 40% HP. So I think that what Wogo did was positive. Go in there, get the fight moving with Hudie, but they also just need to work more as a team to actually make that play happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just see TOP benefiting on what was a poorly planned play from them.
Conversely, this is the strength that we've seen out from TOP, though. They have actually been much more cohesive this split.
Yep.
As a team. I mean, just the fact that they are running more of these full Chinese rosters for themselves and just how they've been moving around the map and just watching them all collapse at the same time. It was like, okay, there's the enemy, very calm. Here's what we do. Here's the play. We'll collapse in around them. And it was just very, very clean coming in from the TOP roster. Whereas Snake, they are chaotic. They will make the enemy chaotic. And I was expecting them. I said at the start that I thought TOP would rise to the challenge. But right now, very calm. And they're continuing just to get a fantastic picks in the jungle. Maestro, very low. Cat chasing, looking for the ultimate. X does not mark the spot for the treasure right there. But Maestro will walk it off.
So close. And remember, Pyke ultimate does have a channeling time. He almost got it, but ultimately he doesn't get the execution. Might end up dying.
A little bit of a switcheroo. Meanwhile, on the top lane, we're putting damage onto Lies, and he's just straight up dead. That was a massacre.
My goodness.
Oh, in the jungle, Guoguo, what's happening? 2 versus 1 right here into the Sanguine Pool, and he's just going to get Cat. You probably need to do that, but he'll find the kill right there.
So, you know what? You can tell Snake's focus was in the top side of the map, and they get the positive for that. But remember, that means you don't have pressure bottom lane. Wogo had to respect it. Being in his own jungle when he knows that no one is showing up in lanes was a risk, and he ended up failing for it.
Yeah, Cat, I will say, is probably our most bloodthirsty support in the league. He always likes to move forward. He always likes to get those kills. And right now, it's culminated into a bottom lane tower. This will be first tower of the game going over to TOP. At the opposite side, there is damage being put out by Snake, but they are behind the curve, and TOP increased their advantage.
Yeah, not enough members here. Should be able to get this one done because the next wave is coming as well, so he's going to be able to get into this one. But real question is what Snake is going to be able to get out of this overall, because they're even abandoning the Rift Herald, which is insane.
Yeah.
Abandoning Rift Herald, you get one top lane turret, but now you're just going to essentially get a negative trade. We look at this from the very beginning. It starts with Cat on top of Guoguo, while at the same time the top play was happening. So this Cat was just waiting, biding his time, because he knew that Guoguo was coming back to the bottom lane.
Massive damage coming in from Gung, and yeah, that's the little auto. I saw that Cat, that was intentional. And another kill going over to TOP, yeah, cross map, really nice stuff. And Herald was even stopped by them. We saw TOP pushing down towards the area. And while that replay was happening, mid lane tower also fell. They made the play towards the mid lane. Snake backed away, but more importantly, they full backed away. They didn't just rotate back towards the mid lane tower to defend. They were just like, oh, we can't take Herald, let's go back to base. So again, another gap in the armor being exploited by TOP.
So this has been much faster than what I would have expected. Because sure, TOP had great lanes overall, and this was what they were going to be pushing for. Snake going into this game with that draft, also having the extra time because of the errors on stage, had an understanding of how they should have been able to handle it. Defending their lanes more often than not. But right now they're getting picked apart time and again. Cohesion, communication has been falling apart as a whole for this team. And now losing their mid lane turret and allowing Zoe to just get a push for free, and now getting control on towards the Rift Herald and future Baron in 8 minutes. This is such a large advantage for TOP.
As funny as it sounds, I think that the problem here for Snake is that their composition isn't crazy enough. Because this is essentially like a normal composition with a Jace jungle, whereas like a lot of the advantages they've found have been surprises into objective takes. That has been one of the major strengths for Snake this split. And I actually think a large part of that was because TOP did their research. They came in, they banned multiple duos away, and it forced them to pick something like this.
While you're correct on that, we're going to have to take a second look because
Maestro is coming in for the initiate, finds the double taunt right here. Gung follows up, lots of damage onto Maestro by himself. Hudie in 2 minds about jumping back in on this one, but yeah, not going to happen. The 5-man collapse from TOP is good, and they find the kill.
Now, Snake still has some poke potential. SOFM's going to be sticking around, so they're not going to let this one go.
Or are they?
I mean, they're still in the area. This is literally just TOP not wanting to start it off immediately.
Also, Dragon is spawning soon as well, so it would make sense that TOP would like to get a mid position to rotate around, and it looks like Lies also wants to go back for an item.
There we go. There you go. So we've already eased up. Talking about your point, you're right about a lot of the surprise factor that Snake comes out with, but people always forget about the fundamentals that Snake has as well.
True.
The fact that they have been the best vision control team for splits upon splits has been something that you can't scoff at. And for TOP to immediately have the early game and to be clearing out the vision control from the get-go, Snake hasn't been able to play that game and have not been able to recover in a lot of the rotations that TOP's been having so far.
Says a lot about them, to be honest, for TOP, because not only have they been strong in coming together as a team, but you're right, the fundamentals are starting to look better from them in the form of the vision control, etc. Snake moving towards the top side once again, taking a crack at Shelly, but Shelly's mad, and the rest of TOP are coming in from the bottom side to try and collapse. Cat goes face first into the brush, but finds the double stun right here once again onto Maestro. Now he jumps over the wall, again pulled over for Bone Skewer, jumps up, jumps down, but he's still caught in between a rock and a hard place. Meanwhile, TOP focusing down onto Flandre. He's going to go down one more time, but Maestro will bite the dust lies on his way back, and this is a chaotic multi-skirmish fight, but TOP are getting the advantage finally. They have managed to run them down over and over, 3 kills to 2 as that Phantom Shock Blast came through and managed to wipe out XX.
Now that's just absurd from Snake. That was actually a really smart play from Snake to begin with, and then they didn't follow through on it. It should have just been exactly what they would have had. So you see Hudie and Maestro sitting in the bush. That's them looking to turn for a fight. Great. But why didn't it happen? Why didn't you see the rest of them look to follow up? And it turned into a multi-battle, as you mentioned, chaotic skirmish across the board. And it allowed Darius to not be focused at all, get his passive up, and look to just get in a benefit fight and reset there. So I'm looking at Snake and saying that was actually initially a very smart position that they had. And then they just never follow through.
And then we take a look at the fight one more time. It becomes very chaotic very quickly. Part of that was because the teleports came in at the end. So you have Flandre in the 1 versus 2, but then in the middle you have a skirmish, and then at the top you have a skirmish, and Shelly is even getting involved in that one as well.
So I would say SOFM should look to move towards where Flandre was TPing. You have to double down on the fight that you were planning for, because what ended up happening is he had a mind for his own. He wanted to back away from that altogether while the TPs were channeling because he saw a TP behind him. So I would say that was poor positioning from him. Double down in which the positioning and the fight you were setting up for. Yep. There's no reason to back away.
And remember what you said to me in Champions League Raz is that Snake, I really value them in the 5v5 fights. Well, that was a 5v5, but
that's
TOP
not a 5v5.
Let me finish my sentence, Raz. TOP turned it into 3 skirmishes within a fight, and then that's where they thrive and managed to find the win.
I'm looking to be a Fox News pundit very soon, so my strategy
you
is to
only
cut
take
you up.
one small quote of what I said, and it's like, this is what he said, headline.
Boom. I'll get you next time.
Yeah, we'll get him next time.
You'll never be able to clarify your point again.
There we go. TOP did manage to finally take the Herald, however. We'll bring it into the top lane, get this charge, will just be a speed up on a play that was already happening. But they could definitely continue to push up here. They have a small minion wave, and I think next wave is Cannon.
And take a look at Zoe. She had a push in the mid. Oh my god, there's that. Okay, you know what, Darius, you run wild, son. You do what you have to do. So now it looks like Lies is having a good thing in the bottom side of the map, while Goong was pushing up mid. And the entire team, the entire map for TOP is actually just doing well across the board.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Yep, third charge from Shelly. Oh, half health on the tower. Hoodia getting locked down as well. And Cat is even pushing forward. He can do whatever he wants on Pike. And it's 18 minutes.
Give me a
and
point.
we are sieging the inhib. Shelly comes in again for the 4th charge. That was an absurd push. That was top tower into inhib in 1 push.
Because they didn't have a response. Snake sent Aatrox to the bottom lane. Why is he here when there's a play setting up top lane? Why is he trying to make the outplay happen? I mean, sure, he thinks he can make the kill happen. Sure, God bless you, maybe you do. But even in a situation in which Aatrox gets the kill, top lane still ends up happening.
Yep.
So there's just a net negative for Snake with him being bottom lane. He just needed to be there to cut off the Rift Trail coming through. Come in at threatening a flank so they at least don't follow the Rift Trail and they can start poking it down, but that didn't happen. So it's just unfortunate. You can see Snake is starting to fall through just based off the strategy and the communications alone.
I mean, obviously, it just looks like tilt at this point, to be honest, because what does that even do? Like, he gets the kill, he gets the Alator, great, but then you still lose inhib anyways. And we take a look at the gold totals and straight up, TOP are just ahead all over the place. They're 8,000 gold ahead right now. And TOP, they're even pushing into the bottom lane. Yes, I appreciate the Snake are pushing out because they know the 3rd dragon is going to be another Infernal. But look at TOP's inventory, Raz. They have they have 6 wards, 6 control wards ready to place down. They are not going to relinquish control over that dragon area.
Yeah, I mean, naturally at this point, if you're Snake, you just have to push TOP away from these dragon and Baron objectives and force them to address the pushing lanes. So Snake really should just find any way to push mid bottom lane, anything far away from the Baron buff.
The unseen cat, the unseen bone skewer, and the unseen stun. Flandre, I mean, there's nowhere to run, and he's also got his blood well passive that will have to be burnt off this one. So Goon will find himself another kill. Just goes from bad to worse.
And right now you can see that they're setting up for the bottom lane push while Jace is in the top lane, so he's going to have to base for the inhibitor challenge, but I don't even think he's going to be there for that. So you can see that they're just not expecting any of the pressure TOP has been putting down.
I think right now, Snake, it might actually just be better to reset and look towards the second game right here in Chongqing, because TOP are just running them over. Again, another great bone skewer coming in from Cat. That was a flash away right there. Okay. And XX leading the charge on to this inhib once again. These Shock Blasts, you want it to be doing more in this mid game. This is where Jace is meant to be strong, but not happening.
I feel like XX is having some fun. I know last split got a little bit of trouble while he was laughing last time around. This time around, you can laugh all you want. You're having a good time this game.
Oh, look at his face. Stone cold killer.
Oh, he's done. He's done laughing.
Yeah. Laugh no longer. He's here to take some names. Snaker at the top of that list for certain. All right, here's the third and final Infernal Dragon. I mean, yes, TOP have done very well this game, but the stars have definitely aligned for them once again. Triple Infernals coming into this. And that's probably going to be not only one nail in the coffin, but like 3 more nails in that coffin. Like, Snakes seem unbelievably dead.
Yeah, they're definitely getting an assist from the stars above. Yep. Macho Man Randy Savage giving the Heaven's Gates elbow drop. I'm telling you right now, it's one of those. You look at the composition TOP had, and they probably would have won this game with the greatest of ease regardless. But you're right, get that triple Infernal, and they're saying, no way is Snake going to find a way back in on this one.
You think so? Though I've seen crazier. By which I mean, I've seen the first series of the day.
Yeah.
OMG versus FPX. Not going to spoil the result, but if you watch it, you definitely should be. Here comes XX jumping onto SOFM. Where's the gold funnel? I'm going to trade my life for this one. Just kidding. Just trading my Guardian Angel. Udyr coming in for the dunk. Slam, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's time for Darius to go off. Double kill coming in for the Darius. He chases down everyone else. Jumping in, 1 versus 5. Give me that one too. Chocho will steal that one away, but 4 kills to TOP, and they're looking for the win.
And they better be running this composition back again, because the thing I love to see is a Darius throwing out his execution ulti and a Pyke doing the same damn thing at the same damn time.
I love it. I don't know what happened there. I think Zoe just died to the tower, but it doesn't matter. TOP gonna come in for the game 1 win. 22-minute demolition of Snake.
Shock and awe in Chongqing. They would expect Snake, second place team, doing so well in the spring split, come into this split, and they're now losing a TOP, a team that were just not having it last split. So right now, definitely is a changing of guards.
Yep.
Snake has to stand their ground in Chongqing. They cannot allow TOP to just pass them in the rankings.
I think TOP had the number, to be honest. They have done a huge amount of preparation, not in terms of just the draft, but also how they approached the early game. They knew exactly how to dissect what SOFM was trying to do. Also, it helped that SOFM just power entered into Zoe at level 1, but those are just small things to the bigger picture. That was TOP just taking them apart.
You're right, and the bigger picture matters, because the changes you see for the TOP from one split to the next is it's absolutely nothing.
It's
because
nice, yeah.
they have, in terms of their roster.
Yes.
Because roster-wise, Marin comes in later in the last split, but you see the team and you're like, well, they're still going to be in the bottom of the ranking unless if they have some real changes across the board. But they only had another change to their name as well, and it was BSYY. BSYY coming back into the roster, and so for the team, for the organization. And you know what he ends up doing? Drafts like that, play like that, where they can able to execute so properly on it. Vision control is so much better, so much cleaner now, and they can confidently put Lies back in. And you would never in a million years look at Lies versus Marin and choose Lies over that. But because of their practice getting better and better, and because their communication as well, they can run that, man.
Yeah, just really good clarity coming out of that team. I'm going to take a look at one of the replays from that game. Once again, it is just the Infernal Dragon fight coming out here out of TOP. And this was huge because it was the initiation coming out from Snake. But even if they get this kill, they still would have lost Raz.
Yes, but I still think the initiation is fine if Jace is there to begin with. Imagine a world in which Jace collapses along with him. Maybe you can even bring in, actually, no TPs in the top lane. That's even a bigger positive, that there's no TP from, there's no TP advantage there. So you would have just have full bottom lane from Snake, along with Galio and Jace, making the kill happen on XX. That kill will go through. They'll be able to bounce out. That's a positive. But because XX his team is able to come in first, suddenly that's easy for them to support their jungler.
And even when Snake were trying to make cross-map plays and it was just like they were attempting to do something towards the Herald, they back away, and then we had this kind of dance back and forth between the two teams, like who's going to get it, who's going to be able to pick it up. And in the end, TOP are like, well, let's just fight. And then they just fight around the Herald, and it was that triple fight within one. It was a 3-in-1 special. And again, if you're looking at skirmishes, TOP are going to come up trumps.
And just take a look at Lies and Cat. Just them going up against 2 to 3 members here, and it works out well for them just because they buy for a lot of time for Goong and X to come through. And so suddenly that 3 skirmishes that were happening turns into just 1 successful skirmish, 1 successful fight for the team of TOP, where once again, I really believe Snake would have been able to win in that position had they would have just coordinated that fight better with SOFM.
Because that's the perfect time for them. You group up, and you're talking about that 5v5 in Champions, like, all right, group up, just cannonball in towards them, and you'll break apart the formation, because they are not built to fight like that. But somehow TOP still managed to bring them into that fight naturally, and they just win that, and it was essentially the snowball from the rest of the game. It helped that triple Infernos came through, but then they also got the Herald off of that. What did they do, Raz? They pushed from top lane outer to inhib. Shelly gets 4 charges off in 1, and we're like, well, I guess that is just the stake driven in to Snake's heart.
I definitely want a ticket to that parade. That was a very long parade. It took some time, and there was no challenge to it. Snake even said you could continue to take it because there was also a kill on the bottom side of the map where Flandre just loses a 1v1. So definitely, if you're Coach Chris, you go into the back, and the discussion there is a little bit harder, because there's definite tilt on the Snake lineup after game 1.
Yeah, sort from Flandre.
Exactly. And as a team, the only thing that you have as a band-aid would just be, you can say, well, change draft maybe. But it should be, the longer discussion is more about why did the communication break down so basically from point A to point B, from Dragon to the Rift Herald fight. So many things have fallen off, and we haven't seen this kind of a breakdown in Snake for quite some time. So that's a discussion you can't have in like 5 to 6 minutes. You really, it feels like Snake can only really do is like, well, we'll get a better composition. We'll try and challenge them in the early game a little bit more.
It falls back on prep. It's just like, what else do we have left in the tank? Do we have a secret weapon that we can bring out? If yes, then do it right now in game 2 to try and win this series. On the opposite side, though, Goong will be taking our MVP, our man of the match, in this first game in the Snake Pit. So congratulations to him on this one. On Zoe play, 41% of the team's damage.
And he just keeps topping the ranks in kill participation as well. So he has the damage to boot, and he's sharing the wealth. That's what Goong is here for. If he succeeds in lane, he's going to allow you to have a piece of the pie.
Yeah, 100%. And we're talking about him pre-game as well. This guy, cool as a cucumber. This guy is like in that extended pause, he was just zen. He's like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to body some fools in the mid lane. And he did so. He just blasts SOFM in the first like minute of the game, gets that kill. And it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to kill everyone else. Just keep doing the same thing for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and you see the tilt or the emotion running wild on Snake, on OMG in the last series. So it's always nice to see someone who has that leadership position, who can be calm as a cucumber, even when things go wrong.
Yeah. Stability is always important in a game like this. For now, though, we are going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we'll be visiting Chongqing once again to get into our second game.
想要在这里生存下去，必须倾尽所有。